We're talking low muscle tone. When 2.5-year-old Nolan was diagnosed with autism, he struggled with low muscle tone, which impacted his gross motor skills and overall development significantly. Nolan really struggled with walking due to hypotonia or low tone and poor sensory processing, along with limited speech and frequent stemming behaviors. Even though Nolan had been in early intervention therapy for over 2 years, his mother felt he was stuck and really unable to progress. She actually shared, despite ongoing therapy, we felt he was stuck and he was plateaued in his progress. And Nolan, he desperately needed help building core strength, coordination, and regulation skills. And as it turns out, the root cause of those challenges wasn't the problem with his muscles and joints, but instead it was with his central and autonomic nervous system that controls and coordinates all motor tone and coordination in a developing child. And that's when they finally found neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic care. Nolan experienced some major breakthroughs with his low tone, and he actually began to progress once again in his gross motor development, sensory processing, and so much more after he was able to do that. He's now gone from struggling to walk to now being able to run, making huge strides forward. And yes, pun was intended with that. So how was Nolan able to do all of this? Well, let's jump right into that. Up to 50% of children with autism struggle with low muscle tone. And many kids struggle with things like sensory processing disorder, speech delays, and ADHD have challenges with low muscle tone and in coordination as well. This specifically demonstrates an important link between hypotonia and each of the most common developmental disorders in kids, especially autism. What causes low muscle tone? Well, the most common contributing factor is things like breech positioning in utero. You've got high stress pregnancies and physical birth trauma from things like forceps delivery, vacuum extraction, induction, C-sections. They're so often overlooked in low muscle tone and in autism, which is still today generally described as genetic. All of these early triggers and challenges lead to nervous system dysfunction and sensory processing disorders that disrupt the neurological pathways that signal our muscles to move and hold positions. Now, this interference with nervous system communication leads to low tone and other developmental challenges in kids and has to be addressed first before changes or progress can be made with the muscles and are expected to actually stick or last. High stuck tone and hypertonicity sets in before low tone happens in the core. Things like in utero constraint and birth trauma create tension and hypertonicity and subluxation in the upper neck, the brainstem, upper traps, and then that tension and tone gets stuck there. So the brain cannot get the tone to the core and extremities that it needs. These motor deficits can affect a child's confidence, self-esteem, and willingness to actually participate in sports and social activities. Their challenges and frustrations mount as other kids are just progressing faster, they get involved with other sports and so forth, and they continue to struggle. How can neurologically focused chiropractic care help? Okay, while traditional therapy approaches focus solely on strengthening the muscles, working on core strength and so forth, to really address low motor tone, we dive deeper into the real root cause, something called subluxation and neuromuscular dysfunction. Now, the key to restoring strength and function in full is to add what is called a neurotonal chiropractic adjustment, which addresses the imbalance and the interference within that nervous system and restore and enhance the communication between the brain and muscles like we were talking about before. The adjustments can activate key neurologic pathways and actually improve core strength and stability, posture, and movement. But it all starts with finding the real root cause through our neurologic scans that are available to check out on our website. We give detailed information on how they work. They're super simple and awesome. Just check out the Insight scans. But before you do that, I want to share with you that the most important element in helping kids with low muscle tone is running our neurologic EMG scans. Save that there, neurologic EMG scans when you go back to look this up, which measure and detect disruptions and alteration in the communication between the nerves and the muscles. I want to show you this right here. This is the neuromuscular EMG scan that I was talking about. Right up through here, you can see that the cervical areas, they're holding the cervical areas and the sacral areas are holding so much tension in those areas. And what ends up happening, it blocks the communication between the brain and that core. And you can see right there in that yellow zone on the inside, that's suppressed tone that's taking place there. And what that is, it doesn't matter how much PT you do. If you can't activate the muscles through that nervous system, it's very, very hard to get those results, and kids end up plateauing and get frustrated. So if your child struggles with low muscle tone affecting their physical abilities, development, and confidence, we know how frustrating it is. You want to see them thriving, running, and playing without restrictions. And you want to make sure that their overall brain and nervous system development is on track for speech, socialization, and behavioral regulation later on in life. The first step is scheduling your child's Insight EMG scans at our office to accurately measure and locate neuromuscular stress, subluxation, and dysfunction, creating that low tone challenge for your child. From there, we can precisely tailor a care plan and adjusting protocol to really help restore neurologic communication and connection and tone in your child's nervous system so that the muscles can finally respond to activity and therapy and really get back on track developmentally. So often parents, they report to us that they can see motor tone changes and improvements in just a matter of a few adjustments or even a few minutes. And often the child gets off to the races right from there, right off the table, just cruising. Please comment below, send us a DM, or check out the link in our bio to learn more about how neurologically focused chiropractic care and Live Better Chiropractic may be able to help your child's neuromotor low tone and coordination challenges.